ਪ੍ਰੈਜ਼ੀਡੈਂਸ਼ੀਅਲ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨਸ ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੇੜੇ ਆ ਰਹੀਆਂ ਹਨ ਉਸ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੀ ਕੈਂਡੀਡੇਟਸ ਤੇ ਵੀ ਕਾਫੀ ਪ੍ਰੈਸ਼ਰ ਦੇਖਣ ਨੂੰ ਮਿਲ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ। ਇਸ ਦੀ ਉਦਾਹਰਣ ਕੱਲ ਦੀ ਰਿਪਬਲਿਕਨ ਪ੍ਰੈਜ਼ੀਡੈਂਸ਼ੀਅਲ ਡਿਬੇਟ ਵਿੱਚ ਦੇਖਣ ਨੂੰ ਮਿਲੀ। ਕੈਂਡੀਡੇਟਸ ਇੱਕ ਦੂਜੇ ਦੀਆਂ ਪਾਲਿਸੀਜ਼ ਖਿਲਾਫ ਉਂਗਲੀਆਂ ਚੁੱਕ ਰਹੇ ਸਨ, ਪਰ ਸ਼ਾਇਦ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਪ੍ਰੈਸ਼ਰ ਡੋਨਲਡ ਟਰੰਪ ਤੇ ਸੀ, ਸਪੈਸ਼ਲੀ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਪਿਛਲੇ ਹਫ਼ਤੇ ਮੁਸਲਮਾਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਖਿਲਾਫ ਕਮੈਂਟ ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਅਮਰੀਕਾ ਆਉਣ ਲਈ ਵੀਜ਼ਾ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਦੇਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ। ਇਸ ਤੋਂ ਇਲਾਵਾ ਆਮ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦੇ ਮਨਾਂ 'ਚ ਵੀ ਇਹ ਸਵਾਲ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਆਉਣ ਵਾਲੇ ਨਵੇਂ ਪ੍ਰੈਜ਼ੀਡੈਂਟ ਦੀਆਂ ਇੰਟਰਨੈਸ਼ਨਲ ਪਾਲਿਸੀਜ਼ ਅਤੇ ਟ੍ਰੇਡ ਪਾਲਿਸੀਜ਼ ਕੀ ਹੋਣਗੀਆਂ। ਆਓ ਇੱਕ ਨਜ਼ਰ ਮਾਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕੱਲ ਰਾਤ ਦੀ ਡਿਬੇਟ ਤੇ।
This is a religious war between radical Islam and the rest of the world. And there's only one way you're going to win this war. Help people in Islam who reject radical Islam to fight over there and destroy this ideology. Donald Trump has done the one single thing you cannot do: declare war on Islam itself. ISIL would be dancing in the streets. They just don't believe in dancing. This is a coup for them. And to all of our Muslim friends throughout the world, like the King of Jordan and the President of Egypt, I am sorry he does not represent us. If I am president, we will work together. People in the faith through all over the world destroy this radical ideology. Declaring war on the religion only helps.
Out of regime change, you get chaos. From the chaos, you've seen repeatedly the rise of radical Islam. So we get this profession of, oh my goodness, they want to do something about terrorism, and yet they're the problem because they allow terrorism to arise out of that chaos.
Thank you, Senator. Go ahead.
Wolf, the question of whether we should be the question of whether we should be toppling dictatorships is asking the wrong question. We should be defeating our enemies. So the problem with defeating...
Senator, we're going to get to you. Wait your turn. We have 2 hours debate. We'll have plenty of time. Let Hugh ask his question.
We have to do one thing at a time. We can't be fighting ISIS and fighting Assad. Assad is fighting ISIS. He's fighting ISIS. Russia's fighting now ISIS. And Iran is fighting ISIS. We have to do one thing at a time. We can't go, and I watched Lindsey Graham. He said, I've been here for 10 years fighting. Well, he'll be there with that thinking for another 50 years. He won't be able to solve the problem. We have to get rid of ISIS first. After we get rid of ISIS, we'll start thinking about it. But we can't be fighting Assad. And when you're fighting Assad, you're fighting Russia, you're fighting a lot of different groups. But we can't be fighting everybody at one time.
Governor Christie.
Foreign policy, you have to know how to pick and choose. There's no way, if Saddam had not had weapons of mass destruction, I would have gone. Because I don't believe the U.S. should be involved directly in civil wars. I opposed the U.S. involvement in Lebanon. We ended up having to withdraw our Marines after our barracks were blown up. There's a difference between Iraq, where you have Sunni, Shia, and Kurds put together after First World War by the Western powers. It doesn't work. It needs to break up into 3 parts. And finally, in regard to Syria, understand that Assad is an ally of Iran who wants to extend that Shia radicalism all the way across the Middle East. He has to go. And for the Russians, frankly, it's time that we punch the Russians in the nose. They've gotten away with too much in this world, and we need to stand up against them, not just there, but also in Eastern Europe, where they threaten some of our most precious allies.
Let's continue.
ਇਸ ਬਾਰੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਫੋਨ ਲਾਈਨ ਤੇ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ ਲਿੰਕਡਇਨ ਟ੍ਰੇਨਰ ਅਤੇ ਇਵੈਂਜਲਿਸਟ ਮਿਸਟਰ ਮਾਰਕ ਹੈਲਪਰਟ ਜੁੜ ਚੁੱਕੇ ਨੇ, ਜੋ ਇਸ ਬਾਰੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਸਾਂਝੇ ਕਰਨਗੇ।
Hello, thank you for having me. I really enjoy speaking to you.
Mark, last night's debate was very interesting. We could feel the heat on the stage, and one thing that was really standing out was how is Donald Trump going to respond to his recent comments about Muslims? We knew that this is going to be on the agenda. So what do you think of his remarks and responses?
Well, I think that you can look at Donald Trump and you can watch his face and you can understand that he plays to the camera. He plays to the audience, and he's been doing that very effectively, much more effectively than any of the other candidates. That being said, that's not the way this should be done. His comments are reprehensible, and they're rash, and they're irresponsible. I think he's been called all 3 of those words by the other candidates as well as by the press. He was himself yesterday. It was time that his counterparts went after him, and they finally did that.
Yeah. And overall, how do you think that the candidates did? We got to see a lot of backlash back and forth.
Well, I think what we're seeing in this country is just a fear of the unknown. And, you know, this is just part of modern life. It doesn't make it right, but it is just the way it is. And I'm talking to you right now from New York City. I'm looking at a room full of people. I don't know any of these people. It is just the way we have to live these days. We have in our society the risk of just everyday life, but he's pandering to the fear factor, and that's a really scary thing. At least the people who he is competing with for president are not creating that fear. They are being more conservative than he is and being more true to the Republican Party if the Republican Party has a single voice.
So, Mark, who do you think that was the winner of the debate yesterday?
Well, I think the winner yesterday was Lindsey Graham. If you watch the debates, or if you're aware, there's two debates that occurred. There's the lesser candidate first and the major candidate second. The winner was Lindsey Graham for having the guts and the nerve and the resolution to apologize to the Muslim population all over the world for the comments that have been made, not only by Trump, but by some of the other candidates. After Lindsey Graham, if you want to talk about the major candidates, it was basically a tie with Cruz, Bush, and Rubio, all of which, if you add them all together, you might have one good candidate, but each by themselves appeared to still be weak and unfocused and just going after Donald Trump to gain the people who might fall away from his following.
Yeah, Mark, I also want to ask you a question about Hillary Clinton. She has been using social media, especially LinkedIn, throughout her campaign, and we believe this is helping her in some ways. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I've been following Hillary Clinton on LinkedIn for a very long time. From the moment that she became a candidate to up to now, she is the single candidate in either party who has made any consistent and intelligent effort to speak to the business community all over the world.
Yeah.
If you look at her LinkedIn profile, she posts regularly. She shares material regularly. She communicates in a way that is unique among all the other candidates. If you look at the major Republican candidates like Cruz and Bush and Rubio, you'll find they are far behind her in using LinkedIn as the social media of choice to the professional business community. So she still is far ahead of anybody else in either party.
Well, thank you, Mark, for speaking with us today, and it was a pleasure speaking and having you on TV84.
Thanks so much for having me again. I look forward to speaking to you again. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.